What's up everyone, Patrick here, welcome back, and in this next video we got to simplify more exponential expressions. We're going to be applying these exponent laws. So starting with number 1, we got negative 3 to the power of negative 2 plus 5 to the power of 0 minus negative 3 over 2 to the power of negative 3. So on these two expressions, first off on this expression, I'm going to apply this law. 5 to the power of 0 is just going to be 1, and then this fraction to the power of a negative exponent, I'm going to apply this law. So to change all this, this would be 1 over negative 3 to the power of positive 2 plus 1 minus 2 over negative 3 to the power of positive 3. We flip that fraction, keep the negative with the 3. You could put it with the negative, with the 2 as well, it doesn't really matter. I'll keep it with the 3, and then the exponent becomes positive. So this here would be 1 over negative 3 to the power of 2 gives us positive 9 plus 1 minus 2 to the power of 3. Actually, let's do this in steps. So the 2 would go to the power of 3, and then the negative 3 would go to the power of 3, applying this law over here. So we'd end up with 1 over 9 plus 1 minus 2 to the power of 3 gives us 8, negative 3 to the power of 3 gives us negative 27. Then the negative you could have put up here, and then this negative and this negative would turn into a positive. So you'd have 1 over 9 plus 1 plus 8 over 27. Now this one is like over 1, so we're adding fractions here. So we need a common denominator. Common denominator here would be 27, so multiply this by 27, multiply this by 27, multiply this by 3, multiply that by 3. So we'd have 3 over 27 plus 27 over 27 plus 8 over 27, which would give us 38 over 27. That's what the final answer would be to number 1. So let me erase all this here. Put the answer up here. So this would be 38 over 27. Now number 2, we got 4 to the negative 3 plus 1 over 2 to the power of 5 plus 3 times 4 to the negative 2. Now 4 to the negative 3 would be 1 over 4 to the power of positive 3 using this. A fraction to the power of a positive exponent, well, we can just take 1 to the power of 5, 2 to the power of 5. And then this over here, we got 3 times 4 to the negative 2. Now, what's to the power of negative 2 is just the 4, not the 3. So here we would apply this, but just to the 4, the 3 stays by itself. So this would end up being 1 over 4 to the power of positive 2, like that. So we just took this, changed it to that. So here we would end up with 1 over 64 plus 1 over 32 plus 3, let's do this in steps, times 1 over 16, which is like 3 over 1 times 1 over 16. 3 times 1 is 3. 1 times 16 is 16. So this would end up being 3 over 16. Fractions, common denominator would be 64. Multiply this by 2, multiply this by 2, multiply this by 4, multiply this by 4. So we'd have 1 over 64 plus 2 over 64 plus 12 over 64, which would give us 15 over 64. And then this here, that doesn't simplify, right? 64 you can't divide by 5, can't divide that by 3. All right, so the final answer to this would be 15 over 64. Moving on to number 3, got 2 over 3 to the power of negative 2. Flip that fraction, change it to a positive exponent. Same thing here. Flip the fraction, change it to a positive exponent. Then we'd have 3 to the power of 2, 2 to the power of 2. Using that rule, numerator goes to the 2, denominator goes to the 2, and then 4 over 1 is 4, power of positive 1, it's just 4. So this would end up being 9 over 4 plus 4. Common denominator, 9 over 4. This is like over 1. Multiply this by 4. Multiply the top by 4. So it'd be like 16 over 4, which would give us 25 over 4. And then that doesn't simplify any further. Right, so 25 over 4 ends up being the final answer for this. Okay, so hopefully with me doing these, you're kind of catching the patterns of how I go about this. And so no matter what they give you, you should be fairly comfortable, if it's on this kind of level at least, to be able to do it. So here we got negative 6 to the power of negative 3. I'm going to just change that to 1 over negative 6 to the power of positive 3. Remember this, I'm applying this. Only the exponent changes to positive 3. The negative 6, the term inside, whatever the term inside there is, stays as is. So that would stay as a negative 6, but the negative 3 here would change to positive 3. Then here we got 2 to the power of 4 over 3 to the negative 2. And I'm going to rewrite that as 2 to the power of 4 times 3 to the power of, actually I'll write it like this, 2 to the power of 4 times 3 to the power of positive 2. I brought this up to the numerator, so the exponent changed to a positive. The 3 stayed as is, and then there's nothing left in the denominator, so that's just all over 1. So this would end up being what? We'd end up having 1 over negative 216. 2 to the power of 4 is 16. And then that ends up being 9, like that. So what we can do here, different ways to do this. Let's, 16 times 9 gives us 144. And that's, so this is like over 1, this is like over 1. So 1 times 16 times 9 is 144. Negative 216 times 1 times 1 gives us negative 216, like that. Then the 144, to simplify this, we could actually divide this by 72. We could divide this by 72. So that would give us 2 over negative 3. And then to make it look nicer, you could just say negative 2 over 3. All right, so that's the final answer for number 4. And number 5 is actually not too bad. It'll be pretty quick. I'm going to switch these up to change them to positive exponents. So this I'm going to bring up, 64 to the power of positive 1 over 2 to the power of positive 6, like that. So 64 to the power of positive 1 is 64. 2 to the power of 6 is 64. And that would just end up being 1. Another thing you could have done, another way this could be shown, is it's a little more a hectic process, but the 64, that's actually 2 to the power of 6, and that's going to be 2 to the power of negative 1. So you can get the same base. A lot of times if terms can be switched to have the same base, then it could be easier to simplify. So this would be 2 to the negative 6 still. 6 times negative 1 is negative 6, and then something over that same thing gives us 1 as well. Right, so whichever way you go about it, answer to number 5 is